Devyat Section 3rd Rodya is the first crumbs giving us some insight into the 9th association of the Project Moon universe. And boy, are they some hefty crumbs. I'm very excited to learn more, as Devyat will lean heavily into Slavic mythology. While we've known about the associations, organizations of mercenaries for hire within the city for quite some time now, there are a few associations we know little to or next to nothing about. While some associations like Sync and Oof have started to become more fleshed out as we expose them in Limbus company, others like 8 and the 9th one, which we now know as Devyat, taken from the Slavic word for 9, have wholly been in the dark up until now. As we explore the city through Limbus company, we'll surely be exposed more to the other associations, especially one as lucrative and systematically important as Devyat. Through Devyat Rodya's story, we learned a few key details regarding the association itself, thanks to a very nagging and earnest interviewer and reporter character. For one, it seems the players have been in the dark for good reason, as basically nothing is known about the Devyat outside its employees sporting these very loudly colored jackets from North Face, which obviously pair well with their carrying cases, known as Courier trunks. Through this interview, we learn a few details about the identity of this mysterious association. Number 1. Devyat Association fixers get paid handsomely. Number 2. Most of the fixers find themselves working for Devyat to pay off massive debts, which I wouldn't be surprised if they and T-Corp had some dealings together. And finally, number 3. They're very cutthroat, reputable service for delivering high-profile goods across the city. In all intents and purposes, other than the fact that they get paid an actual livable wage, they're basically Russian Amazon. I wouldn't be surprised if their director was a bald egg. The company policy dictates they always make deliveries in a timely manner, or else. Or else what, you ask? We'll get to that. But first, some interesting tidbits about the courier trunk itself. Every courier carries one of these large, unwieldy devices, which look heavy at first but upon further inspection are actually quite light. At a base level, they're glorified bags of holding from Dungeons & Dragons, each containing a magical pocket dimension within them that not only shrinks items but also reduces their mass to basically weightlessness. This allows for each courier trunk to be light and easy to carry. Oh, and swung around in aggressive fashion. We also learn a very interesting fact, that the carrying cases are all assisted by AI, with yet another reminder, thanks Angela, that AIs with a sense of self are strictly prohibited within the city. These AI assistants are dubbed Polonitsa, named after the real-world Slavic mythological demon of the same name, often translated to English as Lady Noon, the Midday Witch, and Noon Wraith. Just like any other ordeal at noon, this entity is not some hoe to be trifled with. In Slavic mythology, this entity actually has somewhat of a complicated relationship with the people of the land. As it goes, noon is generally when it's the hottest, so field and farm workers should use that time to take breaks and get out of the blazing heat. It's said that during the height of noon, the Polonitsa will apparate, and if you see one, you'll surely die. Realistically, this is due to heat stroke and dehydration, and not because you're cut down by her sickle or anything. Polonitsa, which take the form of a beautiful young woman, if you discount the ghostly appearance, sickly ghost face, and deadly ghost sickle, though depending on who you ask, those things may not be deterrents. They are said to be created when a woman dies out in the fields during noontime. Oftentimes, these stories involve the feelings of yearning from this woman, hoping to reappear in the world in order to stop others from suffering her same fate. This adds to the connotation that perhaps the Polonitsa is actually more of a warding spirit, that despite appearances, it's actually quite helpful and kind-hearted. Perhaps the point all along was to deter people from the fields during times where overwork, heat stroke, and malady are most prominent. The real-world mythological aspects are all neatly packaged within this cute little detective gadget knockoff. Devyat Association fixers work alongside Polonitsa as they bust their asses out in the fields, working to deliver packages. The Polonitsa serve as a protective role for the workers. When hostile entities approach, the Polonitsa allows for the fixers to utilize its sickle. Sorry, that's not right. Its cyclical weapons to defend themselves. One important detail reflected in both Rodya's kit as well as in the story is the idea that the workers aim to be quick in deliveries, because as deadlines draw close, the Polonitsa increases its power output, which while having the upside of bolstering the fixer's strength to unimaginable numbers, ends up being so powerful that exposure to its rupture energy also eventually sunders the user itself, ending in the fixer's demise by heat death. I wonder where I heard that before. And if you see one, you'll surely die. Realistically, this is due to heat stroke and dehydration, and not because you're cut down by her sickle or anything. While we still don't know much about the Devyat, other than the fact that the hyper-depressed Isong is also sadly working for them in this mirror dimension, this first glimpse into the organization, as well as how interestingly and thoughtfully Slavic mythology is woven into its elements, leaves me excited to learn more as time goes on. I'm sure this won't be the first time we're bumping elbows with these fellows. And remember, heed the warning of the Polonitsa, or you'll suffer her same fate. But perhaps that's where all the former users ended up, because it seems they all got shoved into this box too.